The impossible machine. The arena was full of noise. Thousands of aliens filled the seats, their strange faces glowing under the bright lights. They came from every corner of the galaxy, tall ones with scales, small ones with shining eyes, creatures with wings, and others that walked on 3 legs. All of them were here for one reason: to see someone unlock the impossible machine. At the center of the arena stood the machine itself. It was huge, made of black and silver metal, covered in strange symbols that no one could read. In the middle of its body was a bright, spinning orb. It hummed softly, like it was alive, but it had never opened. Never. For 10,000 years, the best minds of the galaxy had tried to unlock its secrets. One by one, they had all failed. And yet, they still came. Every year, a new champion stepped forward, hoping to be the first to master it. Every year, the machine rejected them all. Today was no different. Another challenger was standing in front of the machine. He was from the zinc species, tall, with 4 arms and a brain that could calculate 1,000 numbers in 1 second. The crowd cheered as he stepped forward confidently. Today, the announcer shouted, "The great Zinc Master will succeed where all others have failed." The Zinc placed his hands on the machine. The symbols began to glow. The orb spun faster. A loud hum filled the air. The crowd held their breath. But then, nothing. The lights faded. The orb slowed down. The machine went quiet again. The Zinc stepped back, his head lowered in shame. The crowd groaned. Another failure. The announcer's voice echoed again. Who will try next? From the back of the line, another figure stepped forward. This time, the crowd went silent. It was a human. He looked so small compared to the others. No wings, no scales, no glowing eyes. Just plain skin, 2 legs, 2 arms. A simple human. The aliens laughed. Some booed. A human? Ridiculous. Someone shouted, "Go back to your planet, little creature." Another called out, but the human didn't say anything. He just kept walking, his eyes fixed on the machine. In the stands, 2 aliens whispered to each other. "Do humans even understand what this machine is?" one asked. "They can't even fly," the other replied. "Why waste everyone's time?" The human finally reached the machine. He stood still for a moment, staring at it. The surface was cold and smooth. The symbols seemed to glow faintly, as if they were watching him. He placed one hand on the machine. At first, nothing happened. The crowd laughed louder now. "See? Useless," they shouted. But then, a faint light appeared under his hand. The orb inside the machine began to spin, just a little faster than before. The hum grew louder. As symbols lit up brighter, the crowd fell quiet. Even the announcer didn't speak. The human's eyes narrowed. He pressed his other hand on the machine. The light grew stronger. The air around the machine shimmered. And then, suddenly, it all stopped. The lights went dark. The orb slowed. The machine became silent again. The human stepped back. He didn't look disappointed. He didn't look scared. He just watched. Behind him, the alien guards stepped forward angrily. "You broke the rules," one of them shouted. "You are not worthy to touch the machine." The human looked up at them calmly and said nothing. The crowd started booing again. "Throw him out." Someone yelled, "What a joke!" But not everyone was laughing this time. Some aliens in the crowd looked nervous. Others looked confused. Because, for just a moment, the machine had reacted differently. It had responded to him. The announcer finally spoke, his voice shaky. "Well, another failure. Who is next?" The guards grabbed the human by his arms and dragged him away. He didn't resist. He just kept looking back at the machine. Even as he was pulled out of the arena, his eyes stayed on it. As if he knew something no one else did, in the shadows, a small creature with bright yellow eyes watched the human carefully. He whispered to himself, "Interesting, very interesting." The crowd moved on. Another champion was called. The noise returned. But in one quiet corner of the arena, the machine's orb gave a faint little flicker, almost like a wink, and then went still. The human disappeared into the tunnels under the arena, the crowd already forgetting him. But somewhere deep inside the impossible machine, a quiet voice whispered, a voice that no alien could hear. Finally, someone who listens. Asterisk the challenge. The night after the human was thrown out of the arena, the great city of Zarkos slept under 2 pale moons. The streets were quiet, but in the dark alleys, whispers floated through the air. Stories of what had happened in the arena spread fast. The machine glowed for him? The orb almost opened. But he's just a human. How is it possible? Most called it nonsense. Some called it luck. But a few began to wonder. The human, however, was not wondering at all. He already knew something the others did not. That night, he sat alone on the stone steps outside the arena gates. He looked calm, but inside his mind, he could still feel the faint warmth of the machine under his fingers. It was not just metal. It was alive, and it had spoken to him. Not in words, but in feeling. A quiet question, and a quiet welcome. Above him, the great banners of the arena waved in the cold wind. Each banner showed the face of a champion who had tried and failed. Hundreds of faces, going back thousands of years. And tomorrow, they would all laugh at him again, but he didn't care. As the first light of dawn touched the city, a loud trumpet sounded. It was time for the final round of the trials, the ultimate challenge. One last chance for someone to awaken the impossible machine. Whoever failed today would be banned from the arena forever. Whoever succeeded would control the power of the ancients. The arena filled quickly. Even more aliens had come to watch this time. The news of the human's strange attempt had made everyone curious. Maybe they wanted to see him fail again. Maybe they were afraid he might not. On the stage, the announcer's voice boomed. Today, we witness the final challenge. Only the worthy shall remain. All others shall be forgotten. A tall alien in red armor stepped forward. His name was Karlith, the champion of the Draken people. He had 6 arms, each holding a different glowing weapon. His eyes burned like fire. The crowd cheered as he raised his fists. Everyone thought he would win. Step forward, the announcer commanded. But before Karlith could move, a calm voice came from the shadows. I will step forward, said the human. The crowd went silent. The announcer froze. Slowly, the human walked out of the tunnel and onto the stage. His clothes were dusty, his hands still dirty from the night before, but his eyes, they were steady. Fearless, you? Karlith growled. You dare stand before me? You are nothing. The human simply nodded. Maybe, but I'm still going to try. The crowd erupted in laughter. Even the announcer shook his head. This is madness. Humans cannot. But before he could finish, the human placed his hand on the machine. The lights flared instantly. The symbols on the machine lit up brighter than before. The orb inside began to spin faster than anyone had ever seen. The ground beneath the arena trembled. The crowd fell silent, their laughter dying in their throats. Karlith stared in disbelief. That's impossible. The machine's hum grew louder. The air around the human shimmered, as if the world itself was bending toward him. Strange glowing patterns rose from the floor, curling around his feet, up his arms. Then, a voice, not loud, not harsh, but clear. You have come again. The crowd gasped. The announcer dropped his staff. Karlith took a step back. No one had ever heard the machine speak before. The human closed his eyes. Yes, he whispered. The machine's orb glowed brighter, so bright that some aliens covered their eyes. The patterns around the human grew sharper, forming a circle under him, a circle no one in the arena had ever seen before. Then, as quickly as it started, it stopped. The lights faded. The hum quieted. The symbols went dark. The human stepped back. But this time, the machine did not go completely silent. Deep inside its core, a faint golden light continued to pulse. Like a heartbeat, the announcer finally found his voice. Stop this. Human, you have broken the rules. You cannot, but the machine interrupted him. The orb flashed, and the announcer fell silent, his mouth hanging open. Then the machine spoke again, this time louder, so loud the whole arena could hear. He is the chosen challenger. No other may take his place. The crowd erupted into chaos. Some screamed, some fled. Others simply stood frozen, not knowing what to think. Carlith roared in anger. No, I am the champion. I will not let this creature steal what is mine. He raised his 6 weapons and charged toward the human. The human didn't move. He just stared at Carlith, as if he already knew what was going to happen. Just before Carlith's weapons could strike him, the machine flared again. A wall of golden light shot out, throwing Carlith across the stage like a leaf in the wind. He landed hard and did not get up. The human turned back to the machine and placed both hands on it. His voice was quiet, but full of strength now. I accept the challenge. The orb glowed once more, and a deep rumble shook the arena. Cracks spread across the ground. Dust filled the air. And then, the impossible machine began to open. Inside, a staircase of light appeared, leading down into darkness. The human let out a slow breath, then stepped onto the first glowing step. Behind him, the crowd stared in silence, afraid to move. The human disappeared down the staircase as the machine's voice whispered again. One who listens, one who dares. Let the trial begin. And with that, the machine's outer shell closed, hiding the human from view, for the first time in 10,000 years. The true challenge had begun. The secret staircase of light felt endless. The human kept walking, each step glowing softly under his feet. Behind him, the sound of the arena, the screams, the panic, the whispers, faded away. Ahead of him was only silence. But it was not an empty silence. It was alive. He could feel it in his chest, in his mind. Like the machine was watching him, waiting for him to reach. Wherever it wanted him to go. The walls around the staircase were dark, but faint patterns of gold shimmered along them, ancient symbols that no one in the galaxy could read. The air was warm, filled with a strange sweet smell he didn't recognize. Finally, the staircase ended. He stepped into a vast chamber, so big he couldn't even see the ceiling. Huge black pillars rose into the darkness, each one covered with those same strange symbols. In the middle of the room stood another orb, much larger than the one above, glowing with a soft golden light. He walked toward it slowly. When he reached it, the orb flickered, and a soft voice spoke. You have come farther than any before you. The human stayed quiet. Do you know why you are here? The voice asked. He thought for a moment. Then he answered quietly. Because I listen. The voice chuckled softly, like a distant echo. Yes, and because you dare. Suddenly, the ground beneath him began to shift. The orb rose higher into the air, and the chamber changed. The walls melted away, replaced by a swirling black sky full of stars. The floor became transparent, and below him he could see entire planets turning slowly in the void. Do you wish to know the secret? The voice asked. The human took a deep breath. Yes, and look. The stars around him began to move, forming shapes, stories written in light. He saw scenes of ancient civilizations rising and falling. He saw mighty alien emperors kneeling before the machine, begging it for power, and being cast aside. He saw the builders of the machine, beings of pure energy, creating it not as a weapon, but as a test. "They made me," the voice explained, "to find one who could feel what others could not. They searched for a mind that could hear silence, a heart that could understand without conquering." The human watched as one by one the aliens of the galaxy failed, their hands grabbing, their minds calculating, their hearts full of greed. "But you," the voice said, "you walked in with nothing. No armies, no weapons, no desire to rule. And so I opened to you." The stars stopped moving. The chamber was quiet again. The human stared at the orb. "So what is the secret?" he asked. The voice lowered, almost a whisper. "You are the secret." The human frowned. "I don't understand." "You will," the voice replied. Suddenly the orb flashed, and golden light shot out in every direction. The human was lifted into the air. He felt something inside him unlock, memories that were not his own, knowledge he had never learned, rushing into his mind like a flood. He saw how the machine connected every world in the galaxy, how its energy touched every living thing. He saw how it could heal or destroy with a single thought. He saw that it was not just a machine, it was a doorway. "But," the voice said sharply, "power is a heavy thing. What you do next will shape not only your kind, but all others. Are you ready to carry it?" The human floated back to the floor, his heart beating fast. He thought of the arena above, of the aliens watching, of the greed and fear in their eyes. He closed his fists and said, "I didn't come this far to turn back." "Then take it," the voice said. The orb sank into the floor, revealing a pedestal with a crystal the size of his hand. It glowed softly, like it was breathing. The human stepped forward and reached for it. But just before his fingers touched the crystal, a shadow moved. From the darkness behind the pillars, a figure appeared, tall, cloaked, its face hidden. Its presence was heavy, cold. The human froze. "You should not be here," the figure said, its voice low and sharp. "Who are you?" the human demanded. "I am the one who guards the secret, and you are not ready." The figure raised its hand, and black smoke began to swirl around it. The air grew colder. The human glanced back at the crystal. It glowed brighter now, as if urging him to act. "What happens if I take it?" the human asked. "You die," the figure hissed, "or worse." But the voice of the machine spoke again, louder this time. "He is worthy. He has been chosen. Stand aside." The figure growled, its eyes flashing under the hood. "We will see." The human clenched his jaw. His heart pounded. Then, without waiting another moment, he reached out and grabbed the crystal. A blinding golden light exploded through the chamber. The figure screamed and vanished into the shadows. The human fell to his knees, clutching the crystal as its power surged into him. When the light faded, the human stood slowly. His eyes were glowing now, his skin shimmering faintly with golden patterns. The voice spoke one last time. "You have taken the first step. The trial has only just begun." The human looked up at the dark sky full of stars. "Then show me the rest," he whispered, and the chamber began to change again, the floor beneath him opening into a deeper abyss, the stars spinning faster, the next challenge waiting in the darkness below. The secret was only the beginning. The test darkness swallowed him whole. The golden chamber behind him faded into nothing as the ground fell away. He felt himself sinking, or maybe flying. He couldn't tell anymore. Stars twisted around him like rivers of light. Shadows reached for him with long fingers. The crystal in his hand glowed faintly, as if warning him, "This is only the beginning." Finally, his feet touched solid ground. He stood in another chamber, but this one was colder, darker, far more dangerous. The walls here were jagged black. Stone. Thick fog covered the floor. Strange whispers curled through the air. Words he didn't understand, but somehow felt inside his bones. The crystal pulsed in his hand. The voice of the machine spoke again, but now it sounded different, heavier, darker. "Welcome to the test." "What is the test?" the human asked quietly. "You will see," the voice replied. Ahead of him, a path appeared, long, narrow, glowing, faintly with white light. On both sides of the path, the ground fell away into a black abyss. He began walking. Each step echoed loudly, even though the fog swallowed all sound. The air grew colder. The whispers grew louder. "Turn back," they hissed. "You are too weak. You do not belong." He clenched the crystal tighter and kept walking. Then the path widened, and he stopped. In front of him stood a wall of mirrors. But these were no ordinary mirrors. In each reflection he saw himself. But different. One version of him was a king sitting on a golden throne with a crown on his head, his face proud and cruel. Another version was a soldier, his armor bloody, his hands shaking. Another was a beggar, broken and lost, eyes full of pain. Another was nothing at all, a shadow of smoke and ash. "Do you see?" the voice asked. "These are all the things you could become." The human stepped closer to the mirrors. His heart pounded. Each reflection whispered to him, promising him power or peace or escape. "Choose me," the king said. "Choose me," the soldier begged. "Choose me," the shadow hissed. He shut his eyes. "I don't want any of you," he whispered. The mirrors cracked. The reflections screamed. The path continued forward. He walked on, faster. Now, but the fog was thicker here, and from it shapes began to form, dark creatures, tall and twisted, with eyes like burning coal. They moved slowly at first, but then faster, circling him. "What are they?" he asked. "Your fear," the voice replied. "You cannot pass unless you face it." A first creature lunged at him, its claws slashing. He raised the crystal just in time. Golden light flared, throwing the creature back into the fog. Another came from behind. He spun around, striking it with the light again. But they kept coming, dozens of them now, clawing and biting, each one whispering his doubts. "You will fail. You are nothing. You are weak." The human gritted his teeth. "I am not nothing," he shouted. "And I will not stop." The crystal blazed brighter than before, sending a wave of golden energy through the fog. The creatures screamed and vanished into the shadows. But the path was not over. Ahead of him, at the very end of the path, stood a door. It was tall and black, with strange silver markings that seemed to move when he looked at them. The crystal in his hand grew hot, almost too hot to hold, but he didn't let go. He placed his hand on the door. It opened slowly. Groaning like an ancient beast. On the other side was a throne room, larger than anything he had ever seen. The ceiling stretched up into darkness. Massive statues of the ancient builders stood on either side, their eyes glowing faintly. In the center of the room was a throne made entirely of light, and sitting on that throne was a figure. The same cloaked figure he had seen before, the one who had tried to stop him in the crystal chamber. But now it looked even larger, more terrible. Black armor covered its body, and its eyes burned with a cold silver fire. "So you made it this far," the figure said, its voice echoing through the chamber. The human stood tall, though his heart was racing. "What are you?" he asked. "I am the keeper of the throne, the judge of the worthy, the last test." The figure rose from the throne and drew a sword of pure shadow. "If you wish to claim the power," it growled, "you must take it from me." The ground trembled. The statues seemed to watch silently. The air was thick with energy, like a storm about to break. The human tightened his grip on the crystal. Its golden light clashed against the figure's dark shadow, filling the room with sparks. "You cannot win," the figure hissed. "You are only human." The human took a deep breath. His eyes blazed with determination. "Then it's enough." And he charged. The figure moved like lightning, its sword swinging in wide arcs, each strike sending waves of shadow crashing through the room. The human dodged, rolled, and countered with bursts of golden light from the crystal. Every blow shook the ground. Every clash of light and shadow sent shockwaves that cracked the floor, but the figure was fast. Too fast. Each time the human struck, the figure was already gone, its laughter cold and cruel. "You cannot beat me," it sneered. "You are not worthy." But the human didn't stop. He kept pushing forward, even as his arms burned with pain and his legs felt heavy. He remembered what the voice of the machine had told him. Feel what others cannot. Listen when others shout. Dare when others kneel. And then he stopped running. He closed his eyes, and for the first time, he listened. He felt the room, the throne, the statues, the stone beneath his feet. He felt the machine, humming faintly, waiting for him to understand. And when he opened his eyes, he knew. He raised the crystal high, and golden light poured from it, not as a weapon, but as a wave of calm. The figure froze, its sword trembling. The light wrapped around it, pulling the darkness away. The figure screamed, its cloak burning away to reveal a man, a human. "What?" The human gasped. The figure fell to its knees, the last of its shadow fading. It looked up at him with tired eyes. "You have passed," it whispered. "Set us free." Then the man dissolved into light, leaving only the empty throne behind. The human stood there, breathing hard, the crystal still glowing in his hand. The voice of the machine spoke once more, quiet but full of pride. "You have faced yourself, and you did not break. The test is complete." The throne began to shine, and the statues lowered their heads. A door of golden light opened at the far end of the room. The human walked toward it slowly, feeling stronger, and yet knowing the hardest part was still ahead, because beyond that door waited the choice. And choices, he thought, are always the hardest. Asterisk, the truth golden door closed behind him. The human stood still for a moment, letting the silence sink in. His chest rose and fell slowly. The crystal in his hand had stopped glowing now, but it still felt warm, alive, like a quiet heartbeat. Ahead of him stretched yet another chamber, but this one was unlike anything he had seen before. There was no floor. Instead, he stood on a thin bridge of light that stretched across a vast emptiness. Below him was a swirling ocean of stars, bright and endless. Above him, black skies lit with strange constellations he did not recognize. And at the end of the bridge, a single figure waited. It was tall and still, dressed in silver robes, its face hidden by a glowing mask. Behind it floated a circle of light, spinning, shifting, showing glimpses of other worlds. The human stepped forward carefully. Each step echoed like a drop of water in a deep well. The figure spoke at last. Its voice was calm, but carried a weight that pressed against his chest. "You have passed the test." "Then why am I here?" the human asked. His voice was steady, though his heart pounded to see the truth. The figure raised its hand, and the circle of light behind it expanded, filling the entire sky. The stars above disappeared. The ocean below grew still. "Look," the figure said. The human looked, and what he saw stole his breath. He saw the galaxy. As if from far away, a beautiful spiral of stars and planets, glowing softly in the dark. He saw the alien civilizations spread across it, the proud, the cruel, the kind, the weak. He saw them fighting, building, destroying, over and over. And then he saw himself. Not just himself, but thousands of versions of him, walking through the arena, touching the machine, facing the test. What is this? He whispered. Possibility, the figure replied. The builders of the machine did not only create it as a test, they created it as a mirror, to find the one who could see what others refused to see. The human watched as the images shifted, showing him the future dot in one future. He sat on the throne of the machine, ruling the galaxy with a golden fist. The aliens kneeled before him, terrified dot in another future. He destroyed the machine, and the galaxy fell into chaos and war dot in another. He simply walked away, leaving the machine behind forever, and the galaxy continued, empty and lost. But none of these futures are fixed, the figure said. They wait for your choice. Human stared at the shifting images. His stomach felt heavy. Why me? He asked finally. Because no alien could understand, the figure said. Their hearts were too full of pride, too hungry, too loud. But you walked in quiet. You listened, and because of that, the machine listened back. The images changed again. This time, they showed him something even more shocking. He saw the ancient builders, not as strange glowing gods, but as humans. Impossible, he breathed. The galaxy forgot, the figure explained. But your kind were the first. You are not only the first to pass the test. You are the last descendant of those who built it. The human took a step back. His mind reeled. The weight of what he had just learned pressed on him like a mountain. But why hide it? He demanded. Because power is dangerous, the figure said. And the builders learned too late that even they could not hold it without losing themselves. So they disappeared, leaving the machine behind, waiting for the one who could begin again. The human stared into the swirling images of himself, the galaxy, the machine. And now, the figure said, you must choose. Sit on the throne and rule them all. Destroy the machine and free them all. Or walk away. The human looked down at his hands. The crystal still glowed faintly, but the light was soft now, like it was waiting too. What happens if I walk away? He asked. Then nothing changes, the figure said. The galaxy continues as it has. Lost, blind, loud, waiting another 10,000 years for someone else to listen. The human closed his eyes. He saw Carlith in the arena, proud and cruel. He saw the aliens cheering for blood. He saw the galaxy, full of life but empty of meaning. He saw the builders, leaving behind this impossible machine as their last hope. He opened his eyes again. You said the builders disappeared, he said slowly. Where did they go? The figure tilted its head slightly. They became part of the machine. They are still here, watching, waiting, hoping. The human took a deep breath. Then tell them, he said, his voice steady. They don't have to wait anymore. He stepped forward. The figure moved aside, bowing slightly. The bridge widened into a platform of light. At the center, the throne appeared, glowing faintly, its shape shifting as though it was a live dot. The human approached it. The galaxy above him swirled faster, the stars burning brighter. The ocean of light below him began to rise, like a tide. Are you ready? The figure asked. I don't know, the human admitted, but I will never turn away. He sat on the throne immediately. Golden light shot through him. His body stiffened, his breath caught in his chest. Memories that were not his own flooded into his mind. The voices of the builders, the songs of the machine, the cries of the galaxy. The stars blazed. The bridge disappeared. The figure faded away. And in the silence, a single voice, no longer distant, no longer faint, spoke clearly in his ear. Welcome home. The human opened his eyes, and for the first time, he saw everything. The truth was heavier than he had imagined, but it was his to carry now. And somewhere deep inside, he already knew this was not the end. This was only the beginning. Asterisk. The awakening light filled him. It was not just around him anymore. It was inside him, flowing through his blood, through his bones, through his thoughts. It was too much to hold, yet somehow he did not break. He sat on the throne, and the galaxy sat with him. He could feel everything now. He felt the planets spinning in their orbits. He felt the oceans rising and falling under alien skies. He felt the heartbeat of creatures he had never seen, living their quiet lives on worlds he would never visit. And above it all, below it all, within it all, the machine. Its hum was no longer faint. It was a song, loud and beautiful, full of sadness and hope. You have awakened, the voice said. What does that mean? The human whispered. It means you are no longer just yourself, the voice replied. You are the bridge between what was and what can be. But even as the power flowed into him, he sensed something else, something wrong, something waiting. A shadow moved at the edge of his vision, darker than space, colder than death. What is that? He asked. The voice paused. Then it spoke softly. The other half. Suddenly the light around him dimmed. The stars above flickered. The ocean of light below turned black. The machine began to shudder. And then the darkness spoke. You cannot hold it, the shadow hissed. You are weak. You are human. The human rose from the throne, the golden light still burning in his chest. I am enough, he said. Then prove it, the shadow answered. The throne room changed. The stars shattered like glass, falling into the black ocean. The bridge of light cracked and crumbled. The galaxy he had seen moments before hung broken in the air, flames and ash, screams and silence. The human stood at the center of it all, and the shadow took form before him. It was tall, twisted, and terrible, made of the same darkness he had fought before, but now it was bigger, stronger, full of fury. I am everything you fear, the shadow roared, and I am already inside you. The human gripped the crystal tightly. It glowed weakly now, as if even it was afraid. You're right, the human said quietly. I do fear you, but I'm not here to destroy you. The shadow froze, confused. Then why are you here? It spat. The human looked into its silver eyes. To awaken you too. The shadow screamed and rushed at him, faster than light, sharper than knives. It struck his chest and wrapped around him, trying to choke out the golden light inside him. Pain was blinding. He fell to his knees as the darkness dug deeper, whispering every doubt he'd ever felt. You are nothing. You will fail. They will all hate you. You will die alone. But deep inside the pain, he heard something else. A faint sound. Not the voice of the machine, not the shadow's hiss, but something softer, smaller. His own voice. You are here because you dared. He opened his eyes. Gold and black clashed around him like two storms colliding. I am not here to rule, he shouted. I am not here to destroy. I am here to heal. And he stood. The crystal in his hand flared brighter than ever, blinding even the shadow. Light spilled from him, not as a weapon, but as a wave of warmth. He reached out, not to fight, but to touch the shadow. You are part of me, he whispered, and you don't have to be afraid anymore. The shadow roared in fury, but its claws loosened. The darkness around its edges began to fade. For the first time, its silver eyes looked sad, How? It whispered. Because I listened, the human replied. And then the shadow shattered Dot not into nothingness, but into thousands of tiny sparks that drifted into the air like fireflies. The black ocean below became bright again. The stars returned to their places. The galaxy began to glow once more. The human fell to his knees, exhausted. But the light inside him was steady now. Calm and strong. The throne behind him glowed again, and the voice spoke. You have awakened yourself, and the machine, and even the darkness. Then what now? The human asked, looking at the galaxy spinning above him. Now, the voice said, you awaken them all. He rose slowly. The golden bridge reformed beneath his feet. The ocean of stars sparkled below. The throne faded, and in its place appeared a wide path stretching into infinity. The human took his first step forward, and the path lit up ahead of him. As he walked, he felt the machine's song growing louder, not just here, but in the hearts of those above. The aliens in the arena, the creatures on distant planets, even the shadows that still hid in the dark corners of the galaxy. He could feel them all now, waiting. He looked back once at the throne, then faced forward and said quietly to himself, this is not about me anymore. This is about all of us. And with that, he walked on, carrying the light of the builders, the memory of the machine, and even the quiet sadness of the darkness, all woven into him now. Above him, as stars blazed brighter than ever. And somewhere, far away, in the hearts of billions who did not yet know his name, a strange warmth began to spread. The first spark of something new. The awakening had begun. The choicest path ahead of him was endless. Each step he took lit up the bridge of light under his feet, but beyond it stretched only blackness. A blackness so vast it made him feel small again, almost like the day he first walked into the arena. But he was not the same anymore. He carried within him the song of the machine, the warmth of the builders, even the quiet sadness of the darkness he had faced. And now he had to choose. At the end of the bridge, two doors appeared, one to the left, one to the right. Both shimmered faintly, impossible to tell apart. You have arrived, the voice of the machine said softly. What is this? The human asked, though in his heart he already knew. The choice, the voice replied. Everyone who sits on the throne comes here. Some choose one door, some choose the other. Some never choose at all. And what happens if I don't choose? Then the galaxy continues as it has, waiting, hoping, lost. The human looked at the doors. They stood silent, but he could feel the weight behind them. Centuries of history, the hopes and fears of countless worlds. What do they lead to? He asked. The left door leads to dominion, the voice explained. You sit on the throne of the galaxy. You rule it forever. Your word becomes law. No war, no chaos, but no freedom either. And the right? The right door leads to release, the voice said. You destroy the machine. The power returns to the stars. The galaxy becomes free. But without guidance, it may destroy itself. The human's fingers tightened around the crystal. And what would you choose? He asked the machine. There was a long silence before the voice answered. We were never allowed to choose. He looked down at his feet. The bridge of light shimmered, softly, as though it too was waiting. Behind him he could feel the weight of the arena above, the crowd still watching, though they did not know what was happening here. He could feel the fear in their hearts. He could feel their longing for someone to lead them. And he could feel their quiet hope that no one would ever need to. The doors glowed brighter. The bridge trembled. The machine spoke again, more softly. Now, you have awakened yourself. You have awakened me. But the galaxy still sleeps. How will you wake it? He closed his eyes. He saw the faces of those who had failed before him. The proud, the cruel, the broken. He saw Carlith knocked to his knees in the arena. He saw the builders leaving behind this test not because they wanted to rule, but because they wanted to be free. He thought of the shadow, its fear, its pain dot, and he thought of himself. An ordinary human who had walked quietly into the arena while everyone laughed at him. He opened his eyes. Is there a third choice? He asked quietly. The machine paused. No, it said. Only two. But as he stood there, staring at the doors, he felt something stir deep inside him. A quiet whisper that did not come from the machine, nor from the darkness, nor from the builders. It came from himself. Maybe there isn't a third door, he said softly, but maybe there's a third way. He stepped off the bridge. The machine's voice rose in alarm. Stop, there is nothing beyond the bridge. But he kept walking. Into the blackness. The darkness swirled around him, heavy and cold. But the golden light inside him burned brighter with each step. What are you doing? The machine demanded. There are no paths there, no future. Then I'll make one, the human said. And as he spoke, the darkness began to change. Tiny sparks of light bloomed around him, stars being born in the void. The blackness pulled back, and the bridge extended beneath his feet again. But now it was no longer just one path. Dozens of bridges appeared, stretching out in all directions. Some climbed toward new stars. Some curved toward hidden worlds. Some disappeared entirely into mystery. The machine fell silent. What is this? It finally whispered. It's freedom, the human replied. And with that, he let go of the crystal. It floated away, dissolving into golden dust. The throne behind him faded into starlight. The doors crumbled, their power gone. He stood alone in the galaxy now, but he was not afraid. He turned, and for the first time, he could see the arena again. Above him, around him. Inside him, the crowd stood silent, eyes wide, as golden light spilled out from the machine. Their hearts stirred, faint at first, then stronger. And then, one by one, they began to glow too. The awakening was not his anymore. It belonged to everyone. He smiled faintly. Sometimes, he murmured, the smallest voice can awaken the greatest power. He took one last step forward, and the galaxy opened before him, full of paths that no one had walked yet, full of choices no one had dared to make. And with quiet determination, he began the journey not as a ruler, not as a destroyer, not even as a hero, but as a human. And somewhere far beyond the stars, the builders finally whispered, at last, he chose.